We begin this hour in Virginia, where Governor Ralph Northam remains defiant, despite growing calls for him to resign over a racist yearbook photo from 1984. A new Washington Post poll finds people in Virginia are split when it comes to calling for Northam to step down, while 58% of African Americans in Virginia say he should not resign.
Northam sat down this weekend with CBS This Morning co-host Gayle King for his first ever interview about the controversy, and he admits he did wear blackface once, although not in the notorious yearbook photo. And he insists that he's not going anywhere.
I marvel that you're still standing when so many people have said, you got to go and you got to go now. I'm thinking either he's got a lot of confidence or he's just a little crazy.
Well, I know in my heart who I am, and I know what I can do. And Virginia right now needs a leader that's strong, that has courage, and that can take us to the next level, and I can do that.
You might have to convince people that you're still the right leader for this job. You have a lot to do.
I have a lot of work to do, but I will do everything that I can to regain Virginia's trust.
Starting with a press conference 9 days ago, he says, to set the record straight, denying the man in that racist photo was him.
I believe then and now that I am not either of the people in that photo.
So take us in the process of, you realize, uh-oh, Houston, we have a problem, that's not me. Take us behind the scenes of discussions that you and your staff and your wife had about now we're going to go in front of the cameras and say, it isn't me.
Saturday was a very busy day. I did talk to my wife, my close colleagues, and I just made the decision that we need to clarify this.
But was there some concern with people saying, Governor, now you're going to really look crazy?
Well, I've always been a transparent person, and I just thought it was important to let people know that wasn't me. That's not who I was at that time, and it's certainly not who I am now after 35 years of service to this country and my Commonwealth.
So after Saturday, the drumbeat started beating immediately about he needs to go by people in your own party, by some of the top Democratic leaders in the country, by some of your constituents who were protesting outside your home. And after that happened, you thought what?
I thought, first of all, I've heard a lot of people, not only in Virginia, but in this country. But I also know that I was elected to be the governor of Virginia. People had faith and confidence in me, and we've had a great first year. We've expanded health care to over 400,000. We've dealt with criminal justice reform. We've raised the felony larceny threshold.
Your history of work is good. Your history of work is good. But I do want to make sure that we focus on this, because I think that this is really important to clarify your position.
Yes.
And why you think you still deserve this job when so many people are calling for you to step down.
Well, again, we have worked very hard. Right now, Virginia needs someone that can heal. Virginia also needs someone who is strong, who has empathy, who has courage, and who has a moral compass. And that's why I'm not going anywhere.
You know, the other thing that struck people in the news conference is when you were talking about Michael Jackson, and you said, you know, because many people know it's hard to remove shoe polish from your face. And I'm thinking, A, how do you know that?
Yeah.
Because it implies that you certainly put shoe polish on your face on more than one occasion. How do you know that it's difficult to remove?
Well,
I didn't know that.
When I dressed up as Michael Jackson, I put some shoe polish on my cheeks on both sides. You also, or not you, but folks need to know that I went to military school, military college for 4 years. I polish my shoes almost every day. We did that with what we call a spit shine rag. It's a very thin piece of cloth. And the shoe polish,
used to do that,
yes, and the shoe polish goes through that cloth and it gets on your finger or my finger, and it's very difficult to remove. So that's why I know shoe polish is difficult.
So that's what you were referring to?
That's correct.
Okay. From the very beginning, you said you were not stepping down, but the story has certainly changed. Are there any circumstances that you would step down?
Well, I'm prepared right now to move forward. I don't have any plans to resign, and I think we have a unique opportunity to make impactful changes.
Wouldn't you have preferred to have this unique opportunity another way?
I would, but again, I really do believe that things happen for a reason.
I do too.
I am a faithful person, and there is a reason, I believe, that this happened.
And happened to you.
It did.
And what do you think that reason is?
That we are in a position to learn. I will focus on race and equity. That's something that for the next 3 years is going to be my commitment to Virginia, and I really think we can make impactful changes.
And Gayle King joins us now to talk about this interview. Gayle, what a wide-ranging interview that provided, I think, a lot of context with the controversy surrounding Governor Northam. But here's the question, I guess, that we have, and we've been talking about it all morning long. Was it your sense that he was being sincere with you about some of the things that he was saying?
There was no question to me that he was being sincere, and he sincerely wants to get this right. You know, it does seem like every time he says something, it creates another problem. But there's no question about what he wants to do and why he believes he's the best person for this job. And I believe him when he says, I am not stepping down. He knows that he's made some big, big, big mistakes. And he also wants the chance to make it right. And, you know, when you talk to people in the state of Virginia, many people want to give him a chance to do that. You know, it's very tough. It's still, you know, there were a couple times in the interview where somebody says something, you have that dog hit, huh? Because it's still so hard to believe that that wasn't him in the picture or that he didn't know about the picture. But because I said, did you ever stand next to someone in a Klan robe and take a picture? So
because he wasn't a kid. He was
no, he wasn't a kid.
doctor.
But he said he saw that picture and he just overreacted. But I said, but you reacted so quickly just to say no, to say, yes, it was me. I take full responsibility. Friends started calling him. He started thinking and he realized, nope, he still insists. This is what I said. I said, you know, it would be so easy to believe if you just said, hey, I was 25. You know, I know it was a dumb, stupid thing to do. I'm so sorry. I'm a different person. So, yes, I took the picture and I so regret it. But he goes, but that's just not the truth. I did not feel that he was being disingenuous.
Well, I think the thing for a lot of people is, you know, the picture's one thing, but then the way that he's been dealing with it, he's just been sort of, excuse my French, but stepping in it over and over and over again. It's all these missteps. And then there's this interview with you where he calls slaves indentured servants.
Okay,
and
but did you hear the explanation for that?
Well, I understand that he released a statement that said he's still learning. I think that for a lot of people would be like, at this point, you're still learning.
But he was at a speaking engagement, and a historian came up to him and said that it's more factually accurate to say, for this time period that he was referring to you, even though in the past he's used the word enslaved, the historian came up to him and said, you know, factually, it's better to say indentured. So that's where he got that from. But the bottom line is, he knows that it's slavery. He's not trying to step away from that.
Right.
He was just trying to be historically accurate. And then that ends up turning into a whole nother round of criticism for him. That's the thing. You know, I think he so wants to do the right thing. And so an historian says, you know, historically, you're not being accurate. You might want to change it, which is what he did. But now he's calling for an investigation himself. He wants to know where the pictures came from.
He should.
He wants to know how they got on his yearbook page. I said, do you know who those two people are? He goes, nope, he doesn't know who the two people are. So, you know, I think that I saw an interesting article over the weekend, I think it was in USA Today, where the reporter said, who among us hasn't done something in our 20s that we are not ashamed of or that we regret? Who of us hasn't, you know, while we're all, you know, we live in a culture where you do something, we find that you screwed up and it's like off with your head. And I think sometimes you have to put everything in context of the time. And I'm hearing more and more about, you know, people who did blackface because they admired Diana Ross or they admired a rapper or they admired somebody famous. Thinking, you know, it's a compliment. I don't mean it as an insult.
No, there is a nuanced discussion around, you know, blackface as Michael Jackson and blackface as a minstrel, like as an Al Jolson
as Al Jolson, a mammy. No, that ain't good. That ain't good.
There's a distinction there for people who really want to get into the subtle distinctions of it. But the other thing that I found really sort of interesting, and he didn't really seem to play that up a lot in the interview, but the New York Times reported that, you know, when integration came to the state of Virginia, you know, his parents, like a lot of white parents, had the choice to send him to an integrated school, or like some people made the decision to send their kids to white private schools.
And he didn't go to the white private school.
He and his brother went to that integrated school. I showed Amory the picture.
He's one of two white guys on the
his basketball team. The picture's really kind of funny, because it's like, you know, these African American basketball players and him holding the ball, you know. But he didn't talk about that. But they did interview African American friends of his that he's had over the years. Yeah, but he didn't play that up.
Yeah, why didn't he play that up?
Well, I did ask him because I said, "Did you have black friends growing up?" I didn't know that backstory until I saw the article. He goes, "Yes, I went to this integrated school," which makes it all the more astounding that you weren't more sensitive to it.
Yeah.
So I know, it is a very interesting conversation with him, but I don't doubt his sincerity, and he's in anguish about the problems that he's caused for the state of Virginia, which he cares deeply about.
It'll be just interesting because he has to lead that state, and he may feel all those things. The question is, can he still be effective as the
Well, if
leader.
Virginians still want him, it's their decision
That's
and
true.
their choice. And I will say that this has certainly sort of encouraged this conversation that we need to be having. And I think you're right, Gayle, that we are living in a time where there's sort of instant retribution, and then we sort of ask questions later at the fallout, did we do the right thing? And maybe it's time to sort of move to the next step where we
Take a breath, everybody.
right, sort of look
a
at
breath.
circumstances, you know, one circumstance at a time, and then come to a conclusion.
I mean, and you look at his situation and you look at what's happening with Justin Fairfax, two totally different cases.
Right.
One's
You know,
against the law.
Yes, I was going to say
Yeah.
one is a crime,
Yeah.
Yes.
one is an alleged crime, but we'll see how that plays out as well.
Yeah.
Really fascinating discussion. Thank you so much for coming by to CBSN.
I love being here. Why? Because Anne Marie Green, it's good to be with you.
Always good to be with
she
you, too.
always says that every morning, and every morning I actually wait for her to say it. Hi, Anne Marie.
Oh, you know, I try to change
it's good
it up.
to be with you. Don't change it up.
Well, no, I'm
That's
trying
a
to,
great
you know,
signature line.
But I'm not changing the line. I'm
Oh, I
changing
see.
the delivery.
Oh, the
Good to be
delivery.
with you.
Oh, okay,
Or
yeah,
good to
okay.
be with you.
Oh, I
you
got
know.
it,
I
I
want
got
to keep it fresh.
I got it. Good to be with you always works.
Oh, man, this is so
Thank you.
great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gayle.